All right, we've got Austin O'Neill and Megan Benzik on the podcast. Both of these folks spent some time in Chicago, some time at South Loop Strength and Conditioning, and now they're in Scottsdale working with the OPEX Athlete program. And I miss both of them. They were back in Chicago for a little bit. We spent some time talking in a formal way with microphones about what's been going on with them. So interesting thing about both Austin and Megan is that I've seen both of them go from not being at regionals to both qualifying, Austin for 2 years in a row and Megan for the first time last year, to be individual competitors at regionals, which is pretty impressive at this point, right? A lot of people want to reach that level of competition, and it's always kind of like it's pretty hard. Are you actually sure you want to dedicate yourself to that? Do you think you actually have the potential to make it? And I've seen both of them do it, right? Both go from being bubble athletes to actually being there, which is, again, just a massive amount of work and talent and dedication, all that kind of stuff. So, Megan and I worked together with a coaching relationship for a few years, and recently, they've both jumped in with the OPEX Athlete folks. So we've got Tennille Reed, Amanda Goodman, Jake Berman, Colleen Foch, Rachel Campbell, and then Austin and Megan, all training in Scottsdale under Mike Lee and James Fitzgerald at OPEX. And essentially, this is an experiment in professionalizing the CrossFit athlete, right? So not having athletes who have to coach a bunch of hours or write programs or coach people in nutrition, all that kind of stuff. It's what actually happens when we allow people to train full time. Since the process of training, especially at a high level, is essentially figuring out how much stress can you apply to your body and how well can you adapt to it. So the more you have to do with email and scheduling and coaching classes and running from one gym to another and all that kind of stuff, the less you're going to be able to adapt to your training. So, I recently listened to a podcast with the discussion of Alan Webb's training, a famous track athlete, one of the best milers of all time. And, he would just do these killer workouts and then just be a vegetable the rest of the time. So essentially, the high level CrossFit athlete is looking to get a similar thing going on in their life. So talk with Austin and Megan about what their daily existence looks like. What are they doing to actually push themselves? How much can they take? What are they thinking internally as they kind of run through these mammoth training sessions? How do they maximize their recovery? And just honestly, what does it look like to, actually try to achieve your own peak physical potential? A lot of people talk about it, but it's a different level to dedicate your life to this actual process. And they both have, and it's very interesting to hear the ins and outs of how they trust their coach, how they recover, all the details that they think about on a daily basis that to a lot of people seems minute, but when you're trying to get every last percentage point of improvement, it's not always the major things that matter. At that point, we can start to really get into some deep tactical stuff. So I think this is a good one. Check it out. All right, this is Todd Neef, and I'm here at South Loop Strength and Conditioning with two athletes who used to be at South Loop Strength and Conditioning regularly, recently moved to Scottsdale, Arizona to be part of the OPEX Athlete program. We have Megan Benzik, we have Austin O'Neill in the house again for the holidays. Very exciting. Welcome back, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
I know.
Nice cold weather, no sun.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing that someone in Scottsdale would rather do than come to Chicago at the end of December.
When it's -5 outside.
Yeah, that's just like really, that's just really the epitome of a transition for a Scottsdale-based person, I think. So what I want to talk about today with you guys moved out to Scottsdale. When did you actually move?
August.
Yeah, mid-August.
Okay, cool. So pretty recently to be part of the OPEX Athlete on-site program, which I think is really cool and very interesting. So I want to talk about that and really get a feel for what training looks like for you guys on a daily basis, what you guys are doing on a daily basis, and just really dig into what that athlete lifestyle looks like. So to start us off, can you guys explain to me and our listeners what the OPEX Athlete program is? What's happening?
So OPEX Athlete sponsorship program is basically, they picked 5 of us who moved out there, train full time. They take care of our meals. Our sponsors help with supplements. They give us a stipend for
What
living.
kind of suppies you taking, man?
Oh man, all of them. The more the better.
Do you have one of those old man pill containers?
Oh yeah.
We definitely do.
AM and PM.
Do you have midday suppies or just AM
No.
PM?
I take some aminos midday, but no container for that one.
All right, cool. Got it. Anyway, sorry, go on.
But yeah, so there's 5 of us. We get there training starts at 9 a.m. We get there earlier usually to start warming up, get our prep stuff because Mike, Lee, our coach, and James Fitzgerald get on the floor right at 9. So we like to usually be warmed up by then.
And like starting our lifts so they could coach us.
So we optimize the time on the floor with them, and then they get off the floor at 11. And usually
We're usually done by then.
We're sometimes either done by then or bleeding over until 11:30 noonish. So it's usually a longer session that morning, just depending on what it is. We're all doing our own program, which is awesome. Some of it, like we did testing together. We do some conditioning pieces together. It's all, some days we walk in there too and James just decides to change our program for the day, or, for me, especially the first couple months was just like practicing. It's like, all right, no, we're going to work 30 minutes on your muscle up form. And you're just sitting there with James, videoing, refining, fixing.
But yeah, that's a major benefit of having coaches on site. Because if they can tell that you're having a bad day, then they'll adjust it for you for that day specifically, which is huge.
So that's really nice. And then, we usually, all of us do our PM sessions somewhere else usually, just go to lunch and then go back and do our PMs. We do ours back on the bar. Some of the other ones do them at other gyms, just in the area. But yeah, we're at OPEX training on the floor with James and Mike every day from 9 to 11. That's pretty awesome.
That's your job.
Yeah, that's what we do.
That's job.
Eat, sleep, recover, train.
Sure. So the idea behind this program is to essentially professionalize athletes in the sport of CrossFit, right? To make it possible for people to devote the amount of time and energy necessary to achieve like really high levels in the sport, right? Which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing they emphasize, to eliminate stress. And just like when you have downtime to actually relax, so you could be recovered and ready to go for the next training day. So it's like everything revolves around that.
Yeah, sure. So it's not about like, okay, cool, I did my training and now I need to go respond to all these emails and then I need to go coach a few classes and then, I didn't eat for a few hours and then I'm going to try to squeeze in another session and maybe, drink 2 protein shakes after because I know I'm low on protein for the day, right? That's not really the most optimal way to achieve maximum performance, right?
No.
Right.
Yeah. It's definitely pure focus, especially in the gym. We're all doing our individual program and getting coached and whatnot, but it's a different atmosphere when
everyone's really zoned into what they're doing.
Yeah.
So there's not like we talk and we like joke around, but at the same time we're all really serious. So it kind of pushes the level. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So you guys both were located in Chicago, working with remote coaches effectively, right? I mean, Austin, you were working with Mike remotely when did you guys start together?
Just over 3 years now. So,
yeah, for sure.
Before I moved out there, 2.5, almost 3 years before I moved out there.
Got it. And then Megan, I had been coaching you for probably like 2 years or so. Mm-hmm. You were in the Chicago area, but we were effectively operating remotely because you were in the suburbs for a while. Then you were at Windy City CrossFit. I mean, you would come in periodically, but you were mostly kind of on your own.
Right. It was hard to get here.
Yeah, for sure. So, which is kind of funny because it's like, both in Chicago. And it's like, well, actually you're in this neighborhood of Chicago and I'm usually in this neighborhood of Chicago.
Yeah.
And depending on when you try to actually make that trip, that could take you 45 minutes to an hour to actually get from here to there. So what would you guys say is the biggest difference between operating with remote coaching versus being in person as part of the OPEX program?
I mean, it's actually a world of difference. It's a whole nother level, honestly, especially when that coach is on the floor every day watching you work out.
It's like the little things that you wouldn't notice, like engaging your scaps the right way. So it's like the movements you were giving me were things I need to be doing, but doing them on my own, I wasn't catching that. I wasn't doing them 100% the way I should to get the most out of it. So then they were able to like point that out to us and we're able to fix it and now feel the right way.
Sure. Yeah. So you're basically just being held to a higher standard
all the time.
Yeah. I mean, warm-ups, I had like an hour warm-up when I first got there just to make sure everything was engaged and turned on.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Austin has a wide variety of movement difficulties.
They're so much better now. You should see this front rack position.
You see his pistols.
Yeah. Can you actually touch your shoulder now?
Oh, yeah.
Prove it. Oh wow, that's actually really good. So funny story. Austin was at South Loop. He was doing some power cleans or something, and I don't remember if you asked me or if I just like bothered you about it.
We did some sessions together on it.
Yeah, but your front rack position was just unbelievably terrible. It was like I was like, dude, like I know you played football, and in a football weight room, everyone is power cleaning like an absolute maniac, meaning basically just like catching with elbows dropped way down, like shoving your hips way forward, just like so sketchy. And I was like, man, come on, man. Like you have to do a better job than that. And so we were looking at it and working on it and having a hard time getting progress. And I was like, hold on a second. Can you just touch your shoulder? And if you're listening to this, basically you just like bend at the elbow at like flexing your bicep and then just touch your fingers to your shoulder. And Austin just actually couldn't do that. Right? Like I think that your biceps were just like so lit up that you even trying to flex them just caused them to almost cramp, and you just could not put your fingers on your shoulder.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
And it's gotten so much better. It's ridiculous.
And I was like, well, okay, so the reason you can't put your hands in the appropriate position to do a front rack is because you can't touch your shoulder without your bicep freaking out.
Yeah.
That's like,
so tense, tight, and it's burning out my shoulders, you know. And now that like that was a big thing when I first got there too, is like working with Michael Ban, you know, who's a movement specialist, like just cleaning up my scaps, and I've noticed a big difference now when I do like 1,000 chest to bars in a workout. My biceps aren't blown up. It's like, oh, my scaps. Like the blood's actually flowing to my arms now. It's, you know, like that's something I would have never really caught or been able to truly fix as quickly as I had if I wasn't there training full time with them.
Sure. Yeah. So a lot of like little movement things, right? Just being harassed about that. So, I mean, you guys are obviously, you signed up for this, right? You're like, hey, listen, I want to be in a situation where I'm getting coaching all the time. How did that feel coming into that situation where you're just like, everything you do is like, no, wrong. Like, do it this way. No, wrong. Do it this way.
It was actually really motivating for me because I saw it as places I could improve. So it was like, oh, I still have a lot that I can improve on and get that much better. So it's actually like really motivating going into that.
Yeah, it was the same thing. It's like I made it this far without doing this.
If I made it this far, like now that just means I can go even further once I fix these things.
Sure. So you basically see a correction or pointing out of something negative as like, okay, well, this is an opportunity for me to improve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Sure. You always been that way?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, for the most part. Okay. You know, like if it's something I care about, I'm going to do whatever I can in my power to make it better and, you know, optimize it. Yeah, sure.
So, I think that's a challenge for a lot of people is that they can take coaching as like a personal attack where it's like they see, oh, like I'm getting feedback on this. That means that something's wrong with me and I'm bad and I'm being singled out because the coach doesn't like me. So I'm going to get pissed about the fact that I was told to do something differently. And that just creates this whole negative spiral, right? I mean, we see it in group class members, see it occasionally with, you know, which is kind of funny with like coaching clients as well, where it's like, you're literally paying me to do this.
Yeah.
Like, you're paying me for my expertise and my feedback. Like, why are you mad when I tell you to do something differently?
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's a really interesting challenge for a coach to figure out how to deliver information like that in a way that is helpful for someone rather than just like making them mad or turning them off.
Right.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too is like, we know James and Mike are probably some of the best coaches, you know, in this field, and whatever they say, it's like, I don't know, you're going to do it. You know, it's like, oh, wrap your thumbs on a total bar. I've never done that, but he says to do it, I'm going to do it. You know, like, there's no questioning it. It's just like, I'll try it. I'll try whatever he thinks is going to work best, his best interest. He's just looking out for my best interest, you know, and he wants to see me succeed. So I'm going to do whatever he says, you know, because he's the one on the outside looking in.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, you see that feedback as being in your best interest, right? It's like the coach isn't trying to shame you or assert their authority or anything like that. It's like,
they just really want you to be better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really, that's a great dynamic to have, right? Where you can have like honest and maybe even like direct and pointed feedback, but have it still be taken with like, okay, cool. Well, like let's apply that. Let's check it out. So who else are you guys training with?
Jake Bierman, he's the other male athlete. Amanda Goodman, Tanil Reed, Rachel Campbell, and Colleen Fosh is there now too. Cool.
So some pretty impressive athletes. How did it feel for you guys? I mean, sort of being, you know, I mean, you guys are obviously competing with each other, but
being big fish, so to speak, and then sort of stepping into a situation where you're probably getting beat all the time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've been talking about this a lot too. I think since being there, our standards have just risen, rose just like,
Yes, there are some training days where it's like, I'll feel like I had a really bad day, but then I'll look back at what, like, it was actually a good day for me, but I just have raised my expectations so much more. So yeah, lately that's been something that we've been talking about a lot, but we know it's good for us.
Yeah,
so
it's definitely,
when it comes to the open, it's definitely gonna be good for us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, same thing. Like,
it's exactly what
we
needed.
did testing, and I think I did better on almost everything. But it was like, I remember the push-pull workout, 21-15-9, inverted of the chest to bar and thrusters. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I smashed my time by like 35, 40 seconds, and I was still pissed after. Like, I was like, I wasn't dead on the floor. I was like, I had more in the tank. And I should be happy, that's a workout to shave 30 seconds off of.
Yeah, it's a short time to make.
Yeah, and I was still mad. I was like, there's more in me. Like, let's go. Let's do it again. But that's just like, I need to step back a little bit. Like I said, we've been talking about that a lot. Just, we have gotten a lot better just being there for the 5 months we have been. But to us, it's like more. Like, we want to win, we're there to win, not to mess around. So yeah.
Sure. How do you balance that desire for more with not just beating yourself up constantly?
Listening to coach,
Yeah.
I tell Mike all the time, like, we need to do more. Let's do more. Like, I could do a third session. Let's do it. He's like, more's not the answer, like that type of thing.
They
like,
remind us of that a lot. Yeah. Or even just like they sprung like a 3-day deload on us where it was like 3 days off. It's like, oh my God, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
But we listened to them, and it ended up when we went back, we felt way better. Like we had like the best training session ever after 3 days off. So it was great. So yeah.
And
we
it was
just hike in
like,
the meantime.
Yeah, it was like a legit 3 days off, not like 3 days traveling where you still have stress. It was like we're still on our normal routine and just not going to the gym from 9 to noon and then doing a PM session, like just being able to, get outside, and we hike a lot. So just do some relaxing hiking, unplugged, and it was really nice.
Sure. So you have enough trust built in that it's not a problem for you if you say, oh, well, I want to do more training, or I need to work more on toast to bar or whatever. And it's like, no, dude.
Yeah.
I think every monthly consult, I'm like, Mike, what else should I be doing? He's like, dude, you're doing it all. Like, keep following the process, and you're doing everything we're saying. He's like, yeah, you just got to keep going with it.
Yeah, sure. I think that's another thing that's very challenging to build that level of trust.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's hard, and that people always think that that there's more that they can be doing.
Yeah,
or should be doing.
I mean, it still feels that way to us. Like we should be doing more. And yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I guess at third session, like more volume isn't the answer all the time. It's like quality over quantity, I think, is the big thing for
there
us.
Comes diminishing returns.
Yeah,
at some point, for sure.
And especially if you want to, live in the sport for a long time and succeed in it, over a long time, rather than just like taking one stab at it 1 year, going all in and going crazy and then burning out.
And they do remind us too, like, I would say a month ago, it was really like, are you sure I shouldn't be doing more? And he's like, trust me, it'll come. So enjoy this now because it's going to get more intense. And like lately it has been to where it's like, okay, I don't like,
since
this is
that 3-day
good.
deload.
It's like slamming us. That's been good.
Yeah.
Sure. So,
like, there it is.
Yeah, you can kind of see like the bigger picture.
Yeah, the cycle
development process.
Yeah.
Where it's not just like, oh, well, if I don't do 30 muscle ups per week every week for these 6 weeks in the off season, like I'm going to forget how to do a muscle up.
Yeah. And that was actually one thing that was hard for me because going there, I did a lot of just upper body bodybuilding stuff, dumbbells. I didn't do muscle ups or chest to bars for like 3 months. And it was just like weird, but going back to it, they felt so much easier and so much better. It's like, okay, like now I really see the process and can trust it a little bit more. And yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So you buy in enough to essentially try it out. And then if you get some good results, it's like, oh, okay, that might actually have been the right thing to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, right now, like my lifts are all pretty down, and that was just because we backed off on the weight, focused on form for a while. And now it's like now it's all higher percentage. And it feels so much better. Like testing it, my numbers were down for my lifts, but it was like, he's like, don't worry about it. We haven't lifted heavy. Like, your form's already a lot better and positions are better. Like they're a lot more sustainable for more reps and stuff like that. And now that we're adding that, we took that deload time and then it's been all 85+ percentage. work, and it feels great. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. The process is long term, not short term. Yeah, for sure. So you guys mentioned some pretty impressive athletes who you're training with. Again, what have you learned from watching them in training? Is there anything that you've picked up saying like, oh, I see the way Amanda does this or Tennille does this?
I mean, just like form in general. Yeah, movement, stuff like that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just seeing how other athletes do things in general. Like everyone does things a little bit differently as far as like form, technique, due to body metrics and stuff. But seeing how they're doing it and seeing how they're training, I guess, how they're prepping for their session, how they're cooling down, just kind of picking apart. I mean, for the first couple months, I was really watching everyone, kind of staying back and trying to pick up on what they were doing and stuff. But now it's been more focused on me. But yeah, it's been nice to like just be around that environment. Everyone's so focused.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So it's more just there's all those quotes about like, oh, the 5 people, you're the average of the 5 people you spend your time around, et cetera, right? So being around people with similar priorities is very helpful.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely good.
And I think like that's another reason our standards have risen so much, just you see what they're doing. It's like, if they could do it, they're not doing anything more than I'm doing. Like, I'm going to do it,
And it's great too, because since everyone's competing at that high level and it's their whole life, like nobody's questioning like what we're doing with our lives. Like, this is what we want to do, and this is exactly what we should be doing. And the coaches are super passionate about helping us. And so it's just like, yeah, it's a great environment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you don't feel the social pressure to be like, "Ew, why are you being such a weirdo about?"
Yeah, or like,
training?
why are you not going out?
Yeah. And we're probably a little bit more secluded than the other athletes, just because we live together, we date. The other ones kind of hang out outside the gym, but we kind of do our own thing.
We like the hiking, and camping and stuff, but
we're kind of introverts, so we can do our own thing.
So you're the hermits amongst like the already kind of socially isolated and like weird people who devote their lives to CrossFit. You're okay, amongst this subset of people who are weird and don't do stuff, we are the ones who are isolating ourselves from that group.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty much.
We were talking before we started this recording, I don't see anyone really. Like, I'm at the gym, cryotherapy, which is 3 people, and then home.
Yeah.
I see under 20 people a day, probably.
Yeah. How does it make you feel?
I mean, I didn't realize it until Thanksgiving. But I was like, no, I think that's one of the reasons I'm the happiest I've ever been. It's just because like, just dial in on what I want to do and do what I want to do when I want to do it. And that was the other thing I think we realized. Like, we drove to Colorado Springs for Thanksgiving, and like, I had to use the bathroom like every 30 minutes. Like, it was ridiculous.
I was like, this is not happening this whole ride.
Then we realized, I was like, when do I have to hold it? Like,
he's never like coaching or he has to wait till into class or anything.
Like, I'm on my own time all the time. Like, if I'm training, I'm going to use the restroom, like, unless I'm on the clock. So it's like, I've lost the ability to hold it because I don't need to.
I was like, we're going to work on mental toughness and we have to go. We're waiting a half hour after that.
Hey, I think that sounds like Mike needs to incorporate some Kegels in your training program.
I need to be. Yeah. I mean, since that trip, I've been trying to practice it.
You better.
Gotta get better.
Yeah.
I think pretty good on the plane ride here.
I think that's that weakness in your pelvic floor is definitely gonna come back to haunt you.
But yeah, it's just like, I mean, coming back to it, it's like, I don't see anyone. I'm on my own time. There's a bunch of like, I think when we first got there too, I did have a little bit more free time than I was used to, and I had like all these projects I wanted to do. It's like, I could do this is what I'm gonna do tonight. Like, and now it's like, no, like, that's not the goal right now. The goal right now is get my ass to the games and make moves at the games. It's like, so when I have my free time, it's my free time. I'm not working on other projects. If I wanted to make more money, I could make more money, but that's not the goal right now.
Yeah, sure. So it's all about essentially setting your priorities.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that was actually one thing, because I do still coach. And when I first moved out there, I was coaching way too much. And I love coaching, so I didn't realize, but there hit a point where it was like, okay, this is too much. I need to dial it back a little bit. So I've been like cutting back. So I'm just coaching like what I need to so I could focus as much time on training as possible, which has been huge. Yeah.
Sure. So basically looking at, okay, what am I doing on a daily basis? And then what is that doing to contribute to training? And if this isn't contributing, how do I not do it?
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Pretty much. So
yeah, we're pretty much one track mind right now.
And are you guys working with James and Mike on that, or is that kind of like an internal process where you're like talking about it amongst yourselves or just doing it on your own?
I would say it's a little bit of both, but the last meeting I had with Mike, he made me realize how much I was doing. Like I didn't realize how long my days were and how much I was trying to pack in. And so he kind of made that clear. He actually like threatened to take away a PM session. Like, no.
Less training.
No, don't do that. I'll cut back on work. So, but no, it's good because they do help with that kind of stuff too.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I think a big part of it too is the mental piece of training. You know, I met with James about that and we had a good discussion, you know, and he's not one to sugarcoat anything. Nope. You know, he's pretty straightforward and I love it. I think that's one reason I love working with him.
Well, what did he tell you?
I mean, we just kind of
mindset.
Yeah, just talking about mindset, you know.
What about it? He give you a bunch of inspirational quotes?
Oh, yeah. all the inspiration.
He's like, here's my favorite life coach on Instagram.
I mean,
I'm going to need you to read one of these quotes every single day before you train.
No, just it's something you have to dig deep and figure out why you're doing it, you know. And it's got to be, everyone does it for different reasons, and you got to reflect and figure it out, you know, why. You know, everyone says it, you know, it's like, why are you doing it? Why are you doing this? And whatever you put out on social media could be one thing, but what really drives you when you're in that, you know, hard ass conditioning workout and just like, I could take the easy way or the hard way, and then just reflecting on that why and go for that hard way, you know, because not a lot of people are going to take that path.
And that's what's really going to make the difference.
Yeah. You know, because you get to a certain point, especially at regionals, where everyone's fit, everyone's super, you know, jacked, fast, strong. But it's the people who want it more who are going to, you know, take those top 5 spots, you know, and those who are more in tune with why they're doing it are going to get those 5 spots.
So are you literally thinking about why you're doing it during a conditioning workout?
Not anymore. You know, I've kind of hit this place where it's like, there's no doubt in my mind. You know, I set something in my mind before that workout, like I'm going to hit this time and I'm going to kill myself unless it's going to happen, you know, like, what was it? That back squat during testing, the AMRAP test. Did you see the video of that?
No.
Oh man. I was like,
he literally almost killed himself.
Well, you know, the 1 rep max back squat,
Yeah.
Rest 10 minutes, then AMRAP at 85%.
Yeah.
Am I 85%? Like, yeah. I was like, I'm just going to go until I die. And like, I tried to kill myself. Like, my eyes are still bloodshot from it.
Yeah, I actually noticed that.
Yeah, it was way worse than that.
So,
that was
Austin
2
has
weeks ago.
a scary red eye.
Yeah, so like, yeah, I felt like everything. Like I was almost passed out underneath that bar. And
how many did you do?
7, failed to 8th.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So at 385. So I was pretty happy with that. But like, I was like, if I could tap into that every workout where there's no doubt in my mind, it's like I'm in a good place, you know.
Sure.
So,
then let me ask you about, I guess, the daily variation in intensity, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you trying to do that to yourself every single day?
no, Mike wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
If left to your own devices, you probably would.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
that was like during our testing. So we like really pushed it, but then we had the 3 days of deload after that, which is probably like exactly
what we needed. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I think that's something else that's interesting. A common misconception I see from people talking about training competitively is that every day is a bloodbath, right? That they're like, I need to just kill myself every single day. Mm-hmm. That every day I should be giving myself bloodshot eyes from...
I wish.
But what does that look like for you guys on like a daily or a monthly basis? How often are you, quote unquote, going there? How often are you pushing yourself to the point that you're concerned for your own health and safety?
For me personally, I know Mike doesn't let me go there that deep because I can go that deep. And for the most part, I could turn it on like a light switch, and I've gotten better with that being there the last couple months, like where I could be like, all right, this is what I'm going to go deep. Like know that going into it. But for the most part, like he'll put percentages on my 4-time piece. It's like 85% consistent breathing. Do not redline. It's like, okay.
I would say we do a lot of 85% work and then like a couple times a week. Well, lately, because it's been picking up more with the open right around the corner, there'll be like a couple 4-time where it's like, then you can just go. But I would say a lot of times it's like 85% effort. Keep breathing.
Yeah. Because the more you dig into that rabbit hole, it's harder to get out and recover from. You know, if you're going in there every day, you're just going to injure yourself, you know, prone to something happening. I mean, you're going to get burned out too. You know, as much as I'd love to be in that darkness every day, you know, it's not good, you know?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I think also you're talking about, you know, finding your why and being aware of what your priorities are. What does that look like then as far as outside of the gym?
As far as like recovery and we spend a lot of time working on recovery things like the cryotherapy we do. At first we were doing it every day, but it's not always good to do every day. Yeah, it's a lot on the CNS.
Also trying to black out in the cryotherapy thing.
Yeah, Mike and James said no to that right away. So we only go like twice a week, but we'll go there.
But it definitely helps a lot.
Yeah. We do local. We'll go in there after our AM session, do a local on each other, you know, wherever is bothering us.
But we have a Compex and we have cupping, like a cupping kit. So we'll do that depending on where we're sore, what we feel like we need to work on. And then the hiking is just really good recovery. Yeah. Just getting blood flowing, moving a lot.
Helps your mind. A lot.
There are changes in elevation in Scottsdale, which is nice.
Yeah, it is nice, really nice. And it's always sunny and beautiful. And it helps a lot.
Vitamin D.
Yeah.
I mean, there is actually legit. All right, so we're back in action after a slight SD card error. So we're talking about doing stuff outside the gym, and we also talked a little bit about mental toughness and mindset and all that kind of stuff. And something that I notice is that a lot of people have a hard time being consistent over time, right? So it's really easy for them to get excited about something and then be motivated. And then once that motivation wanes, or they get frustrated, or they stop seeing the results that they expect, then they stop doing the thing that they were doing. So for me, I think of mental toughness often as more the ability to be consistent over time and doing what needs to be done. How do you guys make that happen? How do you keep prioritizing the things that you need to prioritize?
Eliminating anything that doesn't revolve around those goals. You know, we have vision boards at home. You know, I have the leaderboard from open regionals and the games, you know, taped up by that vision board. And it's like, I see it every day. You know, I know what I want to do.
It is something you have to work on. But I think since we've been doing it long enough, we actually see the whole process and how it works. And so we know, like, even if we start getting sick of a cycle where it's like, okay, I want my training to switch up a little bit, it's like, it's going to happen. And then it's kind of remotivate. It like gets exciting again, which is one reason. I just love
it every day. Yeah. I mean, yeah. We just like can't imagine not working out every day. Like, what would I be doing if I wasn't training? It'd be like, I don't know. Like, I mean, whatever I wanted, I guess. Like, but that's not even a thought in my mind, you know? Like,
yeah, sure.
It's like,
I mean, well, I guess something that's interesting about that. I mean, have you always been like that with stuff that is a priority for you? Have you always just been like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and then sort of done everything necessary to do it?
Yeah. I'd say like we're both like that. Like anytime I really want something, I do whatever I have to like get it. Mm-hmm. And so this just happens to be something that's taking a lot longer because it's CrossFit and it gets harder every year. But yeah,
I've never been this dialed in though. You know, like I was a college wrestler. I went to college, you know, that's a goal, like in your degree and stuff, but like never been like this dialed in on one specific goal where everything else doesn't matter to me. Like, it's like, this is it. This is all that there is, you know?
Yeah, sure.
So it's cool to see. Like, I wish I would have like been that self-aware for like when I wrestled, like where I could do the same sort of thing, but I guess maturity, I don't know, but like, I don't know what it is.
It's like what we're truly passionate about. So we just love it.
Yeah. I mean, it also probably depends on, did you have that kind of guidance as a wrestler?
What do you mean? Like coach or?
Yeah. I mean, coaches.
Yeah. I had great mentors, great coaches in wrestling and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, maybe I just didn't connect with it like I do with like fitness and CrossFit, where it's like, there's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, sure. So it's basically, this is the thing that matters and this is what it's going to take. Do you guys see anyone who you're around who's successful despite not being as aggressive about, dialing in every aspect of what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to name names.
Yeah. I mean, There's someone at the gym. Like, I think some athletes are just more, they're in tune with it, you know, they do it without realizing it, you know, some sort of things, even though like they might not be doing everything, but their mindset is still on the right path. They're just not self-aware of it.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
I'd say it's what it is. Like, they still work hard, but yeah, there's certain things like we're a little bit more dialed in.
Like someone's like, what is it? Count macros, or like, what was it? Like the BLGs, like OPEX's BLG's basic lifestyle guidelines.
Oh yeah.
And like, he's like, Mike sent me that BLG list. He's like, that's pretty mind blowing. We're just like, you've been doing that for like the last 3 years of your life. Like, how have you gotten this far? Like,
yeah. So what's in the basic lifestyle guidelines?
Sleep, chewing, you know, nutrition, getting your colors in, as far as vegetables. The chewing's the big one, you know, chewing your food 30 to 50 times per bite.
Recovery.
Digestion, recovery, aligning priorities, that type of stuff. Sleep, circadian rhythm, all that stuff. You know, like, I don't know, stuff like we already do, I guess, because that's what we need to do. Like, but some people, I guess, don't realize it and just aren't self-aware of it, you know.
Yeah. So with all that stuff, I mean, you mentioned some people are successful despite not doing that. Mm-hmm. How do you guys, I guess, prioritize things like that outside of the gym? I mean, there's so many things you could be doing. Mm-hmm. What filter do you use to decide what to actually spend energy on, right? Because it sounds like, okay, we're already going to do everything possible to make ourselves better, but at some point there's an endless number of things you could be doing.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we're in tune enough with our bodies to know what we need. So it's like, if I have something that's really bothering me, it's like, okay, maybe I need to sit and do cupping, or I need you to scrape me a little bit, and we're going to spend time doing that. Whereas like other times it's like, I feel really drained right now and we should go on a hike and just kind of unplug and relax a little bit. And then like, that's what we need. So we're just in tune enough to kind of know what we need to focus on or what we're not getting enough of. And
experimenting too. Yeah. Like we experiment
it's all
with
a learning
sleep.
Process.
Yeah. Like, how do I feel with 8 hours of sleep versus 11? It's like, did it make that big of a deal?
Can you actually sleep for 11 hours?
Yeah, I go to bed at 7 some nights. Like,
we've been going to bed at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and waking up at like 6.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of sleep.
Yeah, and
for me, that makes a huge difference, definitely. So I know I need at least 9 hours of sleep every night. And he's starting to realize it too.
Yeah,
which is good.
Getting more and more.
I can't even imagine sleeping for 11 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's something like when I first started, I'd wake up at like 1 o'clock and be like, all right, let's go to the gym. And then like look at my watch and be like, fuck, it's 1 o'clock. I gotta go to bed again.
Oh, like 1 a.m.? Yeah. Like you'd fall asleep at like 7 p.m.
Yeah.
and wake up at 1 a.m.?
Yeah. But then I started, taking ZMA again, which helps. But like, I told Mike about that. And he's like, that's cortisol. Like, you know, we talked about all that stuff. So like we eliminate blue light at night. We haven't bought the glasses yet, but
I was just going to ask if you guys are walking around wearing those corny orange glasses.
We're going to.
Mike told us to, so it's going to happen.
But
does Mike wear the glasses?
I think so. I mean,
cool.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, probably.
It's Kinsey, his wife now. It's funny, like because she works at Lululemon, and I was talking to one of the Lululemon girls when we were there, and she's like, yeah, Mike, like we were just talking about the whole OPEX thing. And she's like, when they first met, Mike asked Kinsey what time she goes to bed. And she said like 10 o'clock. He's like, oh no, that's got to change right now. At like their first date, like stems from.
That's extremely funny. Yeah. So hold on. On their first date, he was negotiating her bedtime.
Yeah, with her. Something like that.
And she was like, yes, Mike, I will obey you.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So I mean,
that's what's important. That makes a big difference. Yeah. And I think that makes it easier for us to realize how important it is too, because they know how important it is. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Them as coaches are doing this, they're doing like the same stuff we are too as athletes. They're trying to be the best coaches. Doing all that, what we do as athletes, they're doing as coaches, which is cool to see too.
Yeah, sure. So since you've been in Scottsdale, what is one of the biggest things that each of you individually has taken away from being coached on the floor?
I mean, just movement patterns. So
like what though? Movement patterns is I want a tactical nugget.
Think the past year, I think I just got in a bad habit where my posture was getting worse and I wasn't engaging or activating my scaps the right way. And I just didn't realize it. And I think if I didn't have a coach on the floor to point it out, that I might have plateaued or like not gotten better. Cause like it took a lot for me to learn how to actively engage my scaps. I was just starting to use my arms all the time and not my back. And so that was like a main priority going in. And now everything feels way different, way better. Stuff like that. So
yeah, no,
that was the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, just, we were working together leading into regionals this year, and I know you had a lot of trouble with the lockout standards on the ring dips.
Yeah.
And like watching you do it, like
I felt like I was locking out.
Yeah, and just, being in a sort of like remote-ish setting, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, yeah. I was like, oh no, she like doesn't actually know how to lock out by sort of pressing through the armpit to like get into that position, right? And that's something that, if I'd seen you training every day, like that's easy.
You would have caught it.
Yeah, it's easy, but it's in a remote setting that's hard. And, the first time you realize that you don't want that to be on the competition floor.
Right.
Like that's not a good situation. Like,
right.
like all you have to do is like go like you have to reach through your armpit to create lockout, but
you don't have anyone there telling you that. And I'm just like, it feels like I'm locking out. So that's been huge.
Cool. Austin, what about you?
We talked about a little bit the movement stuff for me, just being more mechanically sound. Not
like what though? Specifics.
Snatches were a big thing, early arm bend, just touch and go and breathing. I guess I was holding my breath a lot.
Breathing.
Yeah, breathing.
Making fun of my breathing, but he wasn't breathing at all.
Yeah,
so.
It's like, relax your face, breathe. It's like no emotion, this whole workout. It's like, okay. So you're just like sitting there like a little stoic little student. Like, okay. Like, yeah, just breathing.
But your mobility has gotten a lot better too.
Mobility has been very helpful for me, and just like cleaning up muscle up form, like James has taught me a muscle up form for when I'm doing an extended set and how it's going to be different for, in a workout where I'm doing a small number multiple times over and over. So like different forms for that, and that form for me is going to be different than someone else just based on my mechanics. So that stuff like that helps a lot.
Sure. So, I mean, really dialing in some of those details surrounding like, okay, cool. In this workout, you're doing 4 rounds for time of 7 muscle ups and some other stuff. And in this workout, you have to do 20 muscle ups at the end of a bunch of other things. In this workout, you're doing whatever.
And form could be different for, like especially when you're tired and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how nitty gritty we're getting with some of this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And that those details are something that is not necessarily going to be make or break in terms of taking it to the next level, but the accumulation of those things is really, really important.
A little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah, it's not like, I learned this trick to do muscle ups in this way when I'm doing this size set. Like now I'm suddenly here. Like, no, not really.
Yeah.
If you learn,
it's good to know. But
if you learn 50 of those things and apply them and iterate on them, then that can be that can start to make a difference.
And that's all what they're like really about, efficiency and making sure you're like using your energy where you should be, which is huge.
Yeah. So. No extra movement.
There you go. So you guys have a friendly rivalry on Instagram followers. How is that going?
I'm winning.
Yeah, she's killing me right now.
I think there's a little bit of a handicap.
Yeah.
Based upon
being a female.
Yeah, different genders utilizing social media. There's probably some sort of inherent handicap. So depending on what the difference is, Austin, you might actually be winning.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of it that way?
Yeah, that's true. Like a different standard, right?
It's like a golf bag. Yeah. It's just like, okay, like you get spotted probably, I don't know. Like it probably has to be a percentage of followers, right? I don't know. How would you do it? How would you handicap it?
I don't know.
He would handicap it so he was winning, but
I mean, I would have to. But it's been like we said earlier. Like I'm at 3 places, so I haven't put as much energy into my social media just because it's not the goal right now. If I want to get millions of followers, I'd figure out a way to do it. But that's
or networking, because we just recently moved out there. Whereas like I'm also coaching at another gym, so I'm getting to know those people too. He's been hanging out there more, but
yeah, I'm still a hermit. No.
Have you been hanging out there, or have you been hanging out there and speaking to people?
I've been hanging out there and working out there.
All right, there we go.
So
hanging out there, Bluetooth headphones in.
Yes.
And the members there are like, oh man, there's this like giant man
sitting in the back corner,
eating and then working out.
We are doing an open prep program there. So then he'll be coaching and we'll be coaching to get people ready for the open. So kind of getting that gym like more into CrossFit and getting people more into competing there. So that's been fun.
Sure.
Because they're a smaller gym. So
what are you
working on
teach
growing it. Well, the open prep stuff that we did last year, just like giving them open workouts and talking about strategy and stuff like that. We'll have a private Facebook group with like more personalized coaching, and we'll be posting the workouts in there. And so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I've done it the last 2 years at different gyms, and people love it. And if it's people love it and they're doing better and think it helps, I might keep offering it. So,
and this gym has only been open for a little over a year, so it's been fun. I really like helping build it. So that's actually been fun too, along with coaching. Just getting members super motivated and really into it.
So you're actually reasonably involved there in terms of... Got it.
Yeah, I would say so. I coach 11 hours now. So it was 11 hours. I cut back to 9. So
or else
classes.
You would have had to lose a PM session.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But I do have like one-on-one clients too. I'll work on skill sessions and helping them get pull-ups, things like that. So that's been fun. 30 minutes. Yeah.
There you go. What do you teach them?
Whatever they want to learn, really. Yeah. It's just usually like an hour of PT that adds up fast. But if you're doing a short 30-minute session, it goes by fast, but you're able to get across whatever skill they want to work on or give them homework. And then you can make the price a little bit more affordable. So it works out better for me because I can only take on so many. So by having half-hour sessions, I can work with some more people and get that in. So.
Yeah. So it's about that time for open prep. Right.
Yeah.
You guys mentioned you had some nasty testing. What does actually prepping for the open look like for you guys, right? I mean, you guys have both been to regionals. You're looking to go back and do well. What does that structure look like leading into end of February?
More CrossFit.
Yeah, a lot more CrossFit.
So I've been like...
Well, what do you mean by that? I know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
But.
I mean, the standard open movements, you could deduce around the type of movements that you're going to see in the open,
Well, it's kind of like what I was saying. I was like building a lot of strength with dumbbells and things like that. And now I'm starting to do pull-ups and workouts and work on pull-up volume and being able to do them again and again. Stuff like that, or even just like lifting heavier weights in conditioning pieces. So for a while, it was like my conditioning pieces were really short and now they're varied a little bit more to get ready for the different styles of workouts. So things that you're going to see. Like today I have dumbbell stuff because we could have a bunch of dumbbells in the open or at regionals again.
So what does the session look like? What would an actual session look like for a given day?
Well, today I have 2 strength pieces, and instead of doing supersets of dumbbell work or just like straight strength pieces like that, then I have conditioning pieces where it's like 10 minutes on, 5 minutes off for like 3 rounds. And it's just various, like I have deadlifts in there now. I have some like dumbbell hang cleans, things like that you might show up. Just kind of getting you back into the movements that you're going to see in CrossFit.
Everyone's looks a little differently though.
Depends on what you need to work on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know mine's a little bit different too. Like today I'll be hanging around in that shitty zone for a while. I think that's how it was last Friday too. I think I was like,
sure. So like, what does your session look like?
I think today's a bunch of intervals, like 4-minute goes, rest a little bit, 4-minute goes. I think it's another hour's worth of.
And is that on just like an erg or an assault bike, or is that
no,
like
it's
mixed CrossFit?
Some of it's mixed. Some of it's like you're resting on an assault bike. This new cycle has been like if you're resting, you're on an assault bike. Like there's no walking around. I think that's been his trend, his new thing right now for us.
Yeah.
Like
instead of 5 minutes of rest, it's like 5 minutes easy on the bike until your next 10-minute set comes up or your next 4-minute set, something like that. Yeah.
So like you're working, you're not just putzing around between sets or intervals. But I know like for me, I'm going to be training through the open. I did last year, but the goal this year would be each open workout once, one good go on Friday and back to training Saturday. That was when I talked to Mike last, that was the goal. So that's the plan.
There you go. So only redo it if you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Cause like you only want to go to that shitty zone so many times. If you're going 10 times in 5 weeks, it's going to hinder your regional training.
It adds up.
Yeah.
Sure. So you guys have several athletes all trained together who have been to regionals and some have been to the games. what does that look like for you guys since you have, how individualized are your programs? Are you guys doing similar stuff when it's tweaked slightly, or what does that look like?
So I think leading up to the Open, he had mentioned something about like Fridays, we're all going to be doing the same conditioning piece just so we can go against each other, which I think is going to be huge. But no, I would say our programs are pretty different. Lately, it has been syncing up more, though, to get ready for those Fridays. So, like, it seems like everyone's back squatting on Mondays for the most part and snatching.
Yeah, something like that.
But everyone's
Rep
still doing
sets
their
are
own,
different.
based on what they need. So.
Got it.
You know how that works, like the NME and all that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's really interesting trying to balance the individualization of training, which is valuable, with putting people in an environment like we talked about before, where they're around other people and then can have their own standards for themselves changed. Right? Because if you're around people who are doing something similar to you and they're just dominating you, it's kind of like, oh, okay, what is actually happening here?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, I mean, there's more women there than guys, and everyone has different strengths. So it's like, yeah, there's things you're bad at and there's things you're good at. And so it's like kind of figuring out where everyone's at and then trying to beat them if they're good at it. And yeah, really pushes you. But
yeah, and I think that also the the accountability and fun aspect of training, even for elite athletes, is important too, right? Where for group class members, like a lot of them just come just to work out, like they don't really care. So for a lot of them, it's just like, okay, this needs to be fun. It needs to be generally in the right direction for you, but you are not going to come in on your own and do this, right? That you've sort of self-selected as being someone who isn't interested in that.
Right.
But there are people who don't also have high level fitness goals. But for higher level athletes too, it's really challenging to find that balance of like, okay, you have your individual stuff you need to work on, but your results are probably going to be better over time training with other people too. And I don't know if anyone has like the perfect prescription for balancing that.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that they're playing around with and just seeing how it goes by bringing us all together and doing that. So
because they're all in on individual program design, but yeah, when there's a group that has the same goal, it's good to throw them in the pit against each other and see who comes out on top.
See what happens.
Yeah. So I think like you said, it's good to see play around with.
And then how much, I guess, internal competition is there amongst the athletes?
I'd say there's probably a lot more than what we say there is, or think
what
there
it
is.
seems like there is.
Yeah.
I think it'll get more intense leading up to the Open. Like right now, like we get along with everyone. I mean, we'll get along with everyone through the Open too, but it'll definitely get more competitive. So we'll see.
Sure. And how friendly is that competition? That's just something I've seen having competitive athletes in a gym is that inevitably there's some bad blood. Some person doesn't like something someone else does. Someone wants to beat someone on something and feels like the other person cheated. There's just like a lot of like, maybe they did cheat too. Like, right? I mean, there's just always things like that come up, and figuring out how to balance that culture of having these highly competitive people in the same place without them, cutting each other down or sabotaging each other is challenging.
Right. I think it'll be interesting to see once we start doing more workouts together, because it has been so individualized that it's like hard to tell. But yeah, I think when the Open comes around, that's when we'll see what happens, and it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So far, everyone's getting along. I mean, but we all just recently moved out there to start training there, so it's still all fairly new. So, but we'll see.
Sure. And then OPEX is not planning on sending a team. Is that correct?
No.
Not that we're
okay. Yeah. So that probably helps that too, because everyone's kind of running their own race.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe there ends up being some uncomfortable situation where someone finishes, 19th in the Open and gets to go to regionals, and someone finishes 23rd and doesn't get to go, and maybe that makes someone upset. But it's the team selection process is just
makes
awful.
it rough. Yeah,
it's so terrible. The way the timing is structured for the season and when you actually have to make decisions and how those decisions are made, just inevitably someone gets their feelings really hurt.
Yeah, you guys have had a hard time with that. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think almost every gym has a hard time with that.
Yeah,
they just don't
true.
always talk about it.
Yeah.
They're just like, no, like we all love each other. I'm like, no, you don't.
No, you want that spot on the team.
Like you don't love each other. I know you don't. Like, I've seen what's going on. I've talked to people like you guys have like a massive culture problem and everyone hates each other.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I want to be the best out of the five of us, out of the five sponsored athletes, So, I mean, that's what I'm here to, that's I've had driven in my mind now that I want to win at everything, even if that's being the best out of the 5 of us. So however you quantify that, going furthest into the games, I guess. So that's my goal.
Sure.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, I think also that if you're part of the sponsored athlete program, there's kind of like an inherent amount of leverage that's held over you too, where it's like, if you behave like a fucking idiot, like you're just going to get kicked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which isn't as easy in a gym that isn't doing something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a little bit more control over what people's behavior is, since it's just like,
Yeah,
well,
that's true.
you're basically an employee here. Like we're paying you.
Yeah.
And like, if you don't do this right, like.
Yeah. Or if you cause problems. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it doesn't feel that way because we're just going to do everything they say, but yeah, I guess that's true.
That's probably one reason. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I thought about that from like a professional sports perspective, right? Where you think about like general managers of sports teams and some of the behavior that we've seen internally relative to like team selection and all that kind of stuff. It's like, if I was like running a sports team, you just be traded. You're like, cool, man, like you're gone.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, like, we're not
Not
doing
worth
that.
it.
Yeah, but it's like, actually, you're paying me several $100s a month to like be here, so I don't know if I can just
Yeah.
you know,
Cause problems would be difficult.
kick you out because like the competitive season isn't necessarily going exactly the way that anyone had envisioned it. So a little bit different. I don't know. Maybe you can. Should probably be a little bit harsher with people sometimes. So leading into the Open, you guys are starting to do more stuff that actually looks like CrossFit. How is that feeling?
I'm still getting used to it.
Sure.
Because the conditioning going back into it, it's like, oh, this hurts a little bit more than I remember, but it's just because I'm just starting to get back into it again. So it's kind of getting past that and being like, okay, I just got to keep pushing and trust that I'm going to be ready in time for the Open, which I definitely trust that I will be. So it's just,
Yeah. I love it. This is like my favorite time, my favorite type of training.
It's definitely my favorite training. So that makes it easier too.
It's all
to
coming
just
together.
Suck it up and
Everything
go.
comes together, you know, you start to, I wouldn't say he's not going to have me peak for the Open, but I'm going to be feeling good, you know. I love the training leading up to it.
Yeah, and you touched on something that was kind of what I was getting at, right? I mean, you've both had success in the past at getting to regionals, and there's inevitably some sort of pressure of like, okay, well, I better get back, like, or maybe I'm not as good, or maybe something went wrong or whatever. How do you guys deal with those kinds of thoughts?
I guess it's just putting trust in the coaches, like what we talked about earlier, and just trusting that they know what they're doing and that you're going to be ready in time. And as long as you're giving your all every day, then it's like, how could you not get better? As long as you trust who's programming for you and everything. So that's,
Yeah, I don't think it really slips my mind. Like, it's like, no, this is.
Oh, so you're not even worried about it?
No, like it's like games athletes get through the Open. You know, it's like if I'm going to consider myself a games athlete or games level athlete, the Open I shouldn't be worried about, and I'm not. You know, it's like that's just my mindset. You know, I'm gonna give it my all, like I'm going to everything. But yeah, just, you know, it's part of the process. I'm gonna do it like everyone else is, do my best, but I don't see it as an issue. You know.
There you go. So just not worried about it. Just not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like I think, you know, was it like when people say like you fake it till you make it? Like, kind of, it's same kind of thought process. Like, you know, if you're gonna put yourself on that level, you gotta imitate it. You know.
I mean, that's something we've been talking about a lot too. Like, you have to see yourself actually being there before you can actually get there. Because if you can't see it happening, then it's not going to happen. So that's why we have like the vision boards and everything. We've been really working on that.
How much Tony Robbins do you read or listen to before exercising?
We do. When we don't watch TV much, but we watch like TED Talks. You know, Tony Robbins, Tim Ferriss. Who's the other guy? Goggins.
Yeah, that was a good one.
What is it?
David Goggins.
I don't know it.
He's good. He's like an he's the military guy, right? Yeah, ex-military who's just like, he's just in tune with the universe and how it works and stuff like that. And we'll sit there and like do our recovery work and watch that stuff.
Sure. Well, what other resources do you, I guess, follow or pay attention to, right? I mean, in your recovery time, like what are you guys looking into and reading and thinking about?
That's it. I mean, mindset stuff like that, like Tony Robbins stuff, Tim Ferriss, all those kind of guys. Yeah, that's like the stuff we're into. So
So just a constant stream of self-improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then
Pretty much.
and then we kind of like get in a flow at the gym, and then it's cool. I think we like hiking so much too is because we get in a flow. It's a different type than at the gym too.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we'll go on a whole hike and not talk at all because you just like get in a zone and it just feels great. And that's like,
Sometimes you're like thinking about everything and everything's coming to your head and it's super clear. And other times it's like you're not thinking about anything except the next step, which is also really cool in a different sense.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of that flipping back and forth between being in like a more whatever classic flow state where it's like you're totally focused on the present moment, and then also being in, like a not necessarily like a daydreaming type of state,
But like
I mean,
creativity.
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause
Yeah.
there can be like a negative daydreaming type of state where you're just like, oh, like I email and like, oh, I need to change my car battery.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, but then there's also another state that is kind of like that, except the ideas that are flowing around are just sort of like helpful and creative.
Yeah.
Uplifting.
That's why like we get done hiking, we're full
Feel
of energy.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah. oh, it's a really good hike. Cool. All right, guys. Well, we've been chatting for about an hour.
Cool.
Sweet.
You guys have to exercise.
Yes.
I have to coach some people and their exercise routines. If people want to check you guys out and maybe continue to weight the social media following for one of you higher than the other, what should happen? Where should people go?
My Instagram's at @ATO'Neill32. And then
What's the 32? You a Magic Johnson fan?
no, there's my high school football number. I just always liked it.
All right, cool.
So I think there's a link to my blog on there too, on my profile, which has over 3 years of workouts. I update it every week with everything I do with scores. So I have like a good amount of people who actually like check every day or check it and sometimes follow it or, do some of the workouts that look nasty in there or something. So feel free to check that out.
My Instagram is megbenz210. So find me there. I do have a blog up there. I haven't written it in a while, but I do plan on updating that now that I've cut back on work and I enjoy writing. So you could check that out too.
There we go. You get to write, and that doesn't result in you having a session taken away.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's relaxing.
Sure. There you go. Perfect. And then if people want to find out more about the OPEX Athlete program, what should they do?
Just go to the OPEX website, opexfit.com. There's also an athlete camp coming up in mid-January, which is going to be awesome. James is going to be
19th through the 21st, I believe.
Yeah, it's
Something like that.
be unlike any other camp they've done before, where James is coaching, Mike's on the floor coaching. They'll have one more other coach, and
all the athletes are going to be there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we like training with different people. So
Yeah, it'll be a good
sign up.
atmosphere.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm excited for it.
Scottsdale, Arizona.
Nice and warm.
Sunshine.
Hiking.
Hiking.
for sure. We don't eat out ever, but there is good food out there, I guess.
Yeah, from what we've heard.
We mostly stick to Tupperware. But there are other options. So, all right, guys. Great job.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hey, this is Todd again, and as most of you know, I consume, read, listen to, watch an absurd amount of content on a regular basis, and a few times per month I send out my thoughts on some of the most interesting or insightful stuff that I've taken a look at. You can be on the list to receive this fascinating, captivating, and delightful information at toddneef.com. That's I before E. Head over there, go ahead and type your email address in, and then as I send these things out, again, a few times a month, you'll get it and you'll be inundated with a carefully curated list of the best stuff that I am experiencing.